And so, in Latin America, this economic relationship of neocolonialism is going to have dire effects on the political state and society. Because while there might have been progress in material goods, there is no progressive government. There is no government that is looking equally for the opportunities of all citizens in Latin America. And so it's going to be an encouragement for the concept of nationalism in Latin America. That this history of Europeans and U.S. intervention is really just a blight upon Latin America, and they need to try and expel this as much as possible. So this is incorporating the nativism of the colonial period with this new nationalism that's focused on control of their economy and their cultural identity, trying to push out Western interference as much as possible. And so we see how this can produce itself into the Mexican Revolution, which begins with a desire to reduce Dictator Diaz's power and eventually emerges as a massive native uprising along with protests in the city by urban workers. The problem is that as long as you have this relationship with the West, as long as you have individuals in Latin America, in Africa, in India, in the Ottoman Empire, who are benefiting from Western interference, you're not going to see a large amount of success by the lower classes. And really, for the most part, they don't have the ability to really unify the entire population. You have Emiliano Zapata, you have Pancho Villa, who have armies composed of local rebellion leaders, peasants, cowboys, laborers, those who have very much been harmed by this economic intervention by the United States. But you also have the middle class, the urban individuals who instituted the change of the 1917 Constitution. Although they might be against Western intervention, they're still not unified on the idea of what the next step for Mexico or the next step for Nicaragua or anything really should be. And so it's very difficult to actually get these native uprisings, these new nationalist uprisings, and consolidate this into a new national government, a new national state. So, this much stronger national presence, which is intended to limit the foreign presence and create new loyalties and new centers of power. Although there's definitely going to be aspects of the culture which are definitely influenced, like in Mexican's heritage, Diego Rivera's murals, Frida Kahlo's reliance on traditional dress or jewelry, and her influence of the European world in painting. And yet, imperialism is not a system that's going to be able to go away. So, really, what we're building towards is this race for progress, the scramble in Africa, the carving up of the Ottoman Empire, the carving up of China, division of interest within Latin America. So it's all a race for progress and competition for influence. And this is probably what we're going to be seeing as the peak of European influence around the world. And if we've set Europe up so far and having so much influence and so much power, they have to fall from this because you can't stay in control for one long period of time. And we see that history, in terms of power, in terms of government, is always cyclical. One system works its way up and eventually becomes corrupt and falls and makes way for a new. And so this is where we're stopping for the midterm. When we come back on week 5, after you completed your midterm, after you've looked exactly at the effects of imperialism on society, then what we're focusing on next is World War One. And really, it's the stage for Western decline. And we're going to be looking more at nationalist movements in Africa and Latin America, in Asia, in the Middle East, and trying to see how they're eventually going to try and become major players in the world again.